Hello and welcome everyone to Coffee with a Counselor. My name is Kim. I'm a mental health therapist at North Range Behavioral Health, and I'm also the program coordinator for Transitional Age Community Treatment Team. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me this morning. A little bit of time. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to kick off our Serenity series that I'm going to be doing throughout the month of June. And we're going to be going over just some simple techniques or skills, things that we can kind of implement into our lives just to kind of enhance our connections with ourselves and also with our environment around us. So I hope everyone has something to drink. I have my coffee, so hopefully you have something, and then we'll get started with our first topic. So the first thing that I wanted to cover was on the importance of taking moments for ourselves. I think that we all kind of have busy lives and we also have really busy minds. Some of us are trying to balance not only our work life, but our home life as well. And then there are also people out there like stay-at-home parents that are trying to tend to home and children. And really no matter what type of lifestyle that we have, it can really feel very hectic sometimes. And we really just don't take a lot of time to kind of slow down. Many of us can kind of feel like there's not enough hours in the day to kind of tackle everything that we need to do. And then we tend to push things off for the weekend where we kind of play catch up and we really just don't take some time just to take care of ourselves. Also, we're really constantly bombarded with information daily. I think a lot of us, we constantly are walking around with an electronic device where when we get bored, we tend to hit like social media sites. And then we're also, we're surrounded by the news constantly, which unfortunately can be very unhelpful sometimes, especially I think in times like these. Recently, the news has brought up some very high emotions for some people, which can really lead to some significant burnout, symptoms of anxiety, depression, even like feelings of angst and even anger. So I really feel like it's important in times like these to not only have empathy for those around us, but also for ourselves. And in order to do that, we really need to be taking care of ourselves. So with everything going around us constantly, and specifically now, the state of our time right now, we should all question if we do take the time to really turn off our minds and just do that for a few minutes a day. People can call this like hitting the pause button, getting centered, grounding ourselves, practicing self-care, whatever. You can call these moments whatever you want because they are your moments. So feel free to use whatever verbiage that you want to and call these moments that you take whatever you would like. So I wanted to go over why taking these moments can be helpful. So for starters, we really want to make these moments that we take extremely helpful. We kind of want the most bang for our buck, right? If we're going to be taking these moments, we kind of want to make them count. So the goal of these moments is to engage in activities where we kind of turn off all the clutter in our head and all of those to-do lists that we make and we tend to perseverate on certain things that might be plaguing us at that moment. And we kind of want to make sure that we're kind of just shutting all of that out and just kind of being in that present moment. Now, I'm going to go over a few activities that we can do daily that really just kind of help us clear our mind and kind of get all that clutter kind of put aside just so we can be grounded and stay present. I think the more that we take these moments, we realize that we actually have more control over our thinking, our reactions, and ultimately our feelings. And I don't think that a lot of us actually realize that we kind of do have that power. I think practicing these daily moments really can show that we have that flexibility within ourselves. It can kind of increase our patience. It can decrease that negative self, and it can even kind of profoundly affect that all or nothing thinking that we can kind of get trapped into. So I like to think of this as like exercise for our brain. So I am going to go over just a few things that I feel like can be helpful for us to kind of try and do. So first of all, I would say just try and be present in the moment. I think a lot of us have a really difficult time just kind of sitting in silence or that feeling of boredom because it can be very uncomfortable. And also, we have a really hard time kind of shutting down all of that stuff in our brains. So it is really, really, really important that we kind of are able to do that. Not only so we can gain that control of our thought patterns, but also so we can have those quiet moments for ourselves. So if you do have difficulty just kind of sitting still and being quiet in your brain and present, one thing that you can try and focus on is counting your breaths. I went over the practice of belly breathing last week. And so what you can do is while you're just kind of taking that moment, just for a few minutes, you can count your breaths. That can be really helpful in giving you something else to focus on. So you're not making those to-do lists and you're not kind of thinking about all the things you need to get done or things that are stressing you out. And just remember when you are taking those intentional like belly breaths, you're only going to be doing about 6 to 8-ish per minute. And so really, if you're only doing this for a few minutes, that's only counting to 24 breaths. So it's really not taking too much of your time. Another thing that you can try and do is just doing some stretches. Now, if you have some type of medical condition or physical limitations where your doctor would be like, I don't recommend you do this, then don't do this. However, if you don't and you're physically capable of doing it, stretching could be a really helpful thing that you can do when you are taking these moments. Just the feeling of the stretching itself can actually help you get out of your head because you can focus on the sensations of the stretches that you are doing, and you can also focus on the breaths that you're taking while you're stretching. Because the goal is always to get out of your head. So definitely focus on something else if you find yourself kind of starting to think. Another thing you can do, which I'm a huge fan of, and I feel like everyone should do this anyways, is write a gratitude list. I think all of us can say we've had a bad day, but when we really kind of look back on them, we rarely actually have bad days. We just have bad moments. And unfortunately, those tend to stick out more than our good moments. Learning kind of to focus on the things that we're grateful for or picking out those good moments in a day can really lead to some significant positive mental health benefits. So whether you're starting your day off by writing a gratitude list or ending your day off by kind of just reflecting on your day and picking out those good moments, it just really can have a positive effect on your entire well-being. And it's once again, kind of getting you out of the clutter of your brain and getting you to focus on something more positive. Another thing is just to sit outside and just be there. We're so lucky that we live in such a beautiful state. And right now, I wish I was sitting outside. But when you get outside, the goal would be to really kind of listen to the sounds, feel the temperature on your skin, smell the air, truly kind of see what is around you, really be present. There's one thing that we like to, as counselors, teach people who have anxiety or have panic attacks is a technique called the 5 senses. And the reason why it's so helpful is because individuals are focusing on what they're taking in around them with their senses because it helps ground them in the present moment and it gets them out of your head. That is the goal of this technique, is it gets you out of your head and it gets you in the present moment of just enjoying being outside and really taking it all in. So it does get you out of your head. So with that, engaging in any of those activities, I mean, they're very simple. I really like to keep things simple because life can be very complicated, and I don't like to give people really complicated things to do. I like to give people simplistic things to do because one, they're more likely to try them, and two, it's easy to kind of put it into your life daily and kind of make it a habit. And when you kind of do these things that kind of help you get out of your head and you take these moments of quiet time or whatever you want to call them, it can have long lasting positive effects on our brain if we do them daily. I'm sure many of us have heard the term of neuroplasticity, which is our brain's ability to kind of create neural pathways based on our behaviors or changes in our environment. So, when you're taking these few moments a day, you're actually kind of training your brain to recognize that we can have control over all the clutter that's in our brain, and we can choose what we want to focus on. A good example, so if you're just being still, that can really teach you to have more patience and actually to have the space between when you perceive a situation and when you react to it. And a lot of us are just like really quick reactors, and it's truly important sometimes to kind of give yourself that space to think before you react. Next week, I'm actually going to be going over some other mental exercises that's going to kind of fall into this category. And so I would say definitely if you're interested in something like this, definitely join next week too. The other one would be like the gratitude list. There's so much research out there that has shown that just doing a gratitude list daily or a gratitude journal has been linked to lowered stress, a greater sense of calm, and it really can help people recognize what is truly helpful and unhelpful in their lives. So it actually can kind of help us break bad habits because it helps us recognize it more and kind of help us think of new and healthier habits to bring into our lives. There was another Coffee with Counselor edition in May that my coworker Scott had did, and it was kind of going back to basics. And he went over the importance of having hobbies or those habits that people are really passionate about and bringing those into your life and having those kind of in place of bad habits. And so I feel like that kind of falls into this category of just being able to pay attention to what's not helpful in our lives. So, of course, who can benefit from this? Absolutely anybody. All of these things are very simple and easy to do, and it does not take a lot of time. And I'm always a big fan of anything that's not going to take up a whole lot of my time. There are certain people that would extremely benefit from anything like this. I think those that have a lot of anxious thoughts or thinking patterns, depressive thoughts, individuals that are like really quick reactors, like I had said earlier, like that be still technique might be extremely helpful for them. Individuals who are overly stressed and they just kind of have their minds going constantly. And also those that are kind of wanting to make those lifestyle changes, which I'll go into that actually in a couple weeks when I'm, that one we're going to be talking about starting your day with intentions. So the main thing I really want you to take away from today is one, ask yourself, am I worth just a few minutes of my day just to kind of work on turning off that clutter in my head? And two, what is it that I can do that will be helpful to me so that I can do that? There are tons of other activities that you can do that are a whole lot more than the few that I just went over. You can go online and search additional things. There's mindfulness activities. Some people just sit and pray because that is helpful for them. Do whatever is going to work for you, because if you do that, then you're more likely to incorporate it into your daily life and make it a habit. I just feel like it's extremely helpful that we really kind of need to give our brain a break from all the clutter and the stimulus that we constantly have going on. It's just extremely helpful all the way around. So also, Now, if you or someone you know is experiencing a behavioral health emergency, please call our crisis line at 970-347-2120. You can also walk into our crisis center, which is located at 928 12th Street in Greeley. You can also text TALK, TALK, at 38255. You can also call our warm line at 970-347-2359 if you just need to talk to somebody. All of our services are still up and going. We're doing still some stuff on telehealth. So, well, everything is still going. We're still offering some services in telehealth, and hopefully we'll be able to see some people face to face in the coming months. So, but yeah, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask them in the comment section, and I will try my hardest to answer any questions that you may have. I hope everyone has a beautiful day, and try very hard just to at least try one of these activities over this next week and see if it's helpful for you. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.